Merab previews his upcoming title fight against Sean O'Malley. The machine is looking to secure the 11th win in a row, thus extending what is already one of the most impressive winning streaks in UFC history, and in addition, capturing UFC gold. It's no secret that Merab's biggest weapons are his relentless pace that's complemented by incredible stamina and his chain wrestling ability that not only secures him rounds on judges' scorecards, but also wears on his opponents to the point of their complete exhaustion. But one of the most important cards in his hands, as he describes it, is his mentality and approach to competition itself. In his latest interview, Merab commented on the upcoming bout, how being nervous for a fight is something that he uses to his advantage, and how absence of it might be detrimental. Merab revealed that he's very calm and relaxed at this stage before the fight, something that's not usually the case before important matchups for him.
I've been waiting for this fight and this moment long time, and no, it doesn't feel any different. Feels everything same. It's just another fight. Actually, I'm more calm and relaxed, and I don't like usually it's you have a fight, you're nervous, I don't know. Maybe because I don't know. But now I'm fighting for the belt. That's why I was like I wanted to get here, before if you lose and you lose chance to fight for the belt. But now I deserve it, and now I'm fighting for the belt. I don't have nothing to lose. I'm gonna just go and show up, and I know what I'm capable to do it, and I'm very released.
Are you almost hoping that the nerves start to come? That you get that nervous feeling?
Sometimes I need these nerves because that's where real Merab comes. When I'm nervous, then the crazy wakes up on me, and yeah, that's where more sharp, but it's okay. Now I have to focus weight cut, and it's good to be relaxed and calm.
Dana White engages in another discussion about Jon Jones's career and accolades. During the press conference following the last Contender Series card, a question about the lack of knowledge that a portion of fans have about the sport in historical context, a reporter suggested that precisely that is the reason why many fans have lately started to try to be Jones critics, especially in response to Dana's position that Bones is not only the greatest ever, but also pound for pound #1. As the sport and UFC in particular increases in popularity, new waves of fans get introduced to the sport, and their attempts of displaying substantive commentary on different topics concerning the sport obviously fail most of the time. Trying to diminish extraordinary achievements is a new trend among this group, as it is highly unlikely that anyone with comprehensive understanding of all relevant aspects and technicality would take on such positions.
I was at Jon Jones' first fight in Minnesota, and do you feel like the sport has grown so much and there's so many new fans, but do you feel like unless you were there in that moment to know that in the span of whatever it was, 16 months, him beating Shogun, Machida, Rashad Evans, if you didn't understand what those guys were at that time, do you not really get why Jon Jones is the greatest of all time?
Yeah, I think that's definitely a good point. But numbers don't lie, and what this guy has done, what he's accomplished, and what he's achieved. And like I said, it's not like John and I have had the best relationship. And when you talk about guys who helped elevate the company and the sport and everything else, you can't deny that Jon Jones is the greatest of all time. Our fan base grew 69% during COVID. So yes, what you're saying does make sense.
Sean O'Malley is confident he has an answer for Merab Dvalishvili's relentless pressure and cardio, as the stakes are especially high for the bantamweight champion's next title defense, which is headlining a UFC event that's been promoted by Dana White as the greatest sports live event in history, and all eyes will be on this experimental gambit that will culminate by one of the most intriguing matchups in the company, the classic striker versus wrestler clash of the highest level. O'Malley, of course, will be looking to use the opportunity to take his career up a step, potentially ascending to true stardom if he shows an impressive performance on the world stage. Considering this is an event that will attract a special amount of attention, O'Malley seems confident. A couple of days before the fight, though, he acknowledges the difficulty and danger that Merab will pose to him on September 14th. On how he's planning to counter Merab's cardio and pressure, Sean kept the answer simple.
Yeah, Dana was giving me, I was in Vegas a couple days ago, and Dana took me down to the little Sphere room and was giving me a little tour of it. And there was no cameras on, and he was so fired up. I could it was watching him get goosebumps on his arms, just giving me goosebumps. And yeah, even being around Dana, Dana's the man, he's a legend. Being around him gets you fired up, motivated, inspired. But this feels different. This feels legendary. Like, you know, this is my third time headlining pay-per-view. This feels, you know, bigger. Peter Yan was a dog. Aljamain Sterling on paper was, you know, the hardest matchup for me of the division. Put his lights out in 2. So yeah, Merab's cardio is absolutely insane, top notch, one of the best in the UFC. But it doesn't matter how good your cardio is when you're sleeping on the canvas, knocked out.
Joe Rogan drops an unexpected prediction of Sean O'Malley versus Merab Dvalishvili. As it is the case with most UFC analysts, when previewing specific matchups, Joe doesn't usually give definitive predictions, as not only it could be viewed poorly by the fans and add to the already existing accusations in Joe's direction of bias towards specific fighters, it could also upset some fighters that would get picked to lose. So in order to play it safe and avoid any possible unnecessary conflicts and complaints, like every major UFC face, including former fighters that currently occupy commentator positions in the UFC and have their own podcasts on YouTube, Joe does not make confident predictions about fights. Instead, he mostly breaks down matchups on a surface level and even avoids leaning toward one or another fighter. Well, that's not always the case. He's previously shared strong leans in specific bouts, like with Adesanya versus Yan, Adesanya versus Duplessis, and Jones versus Smith. And though he doesn't really restrict himself in talking about stylistic matchups or technical breakdowns of different kinds, Joe generally keeps it short when discussing specific clashes. And considering the recent rise in amount of complaints in accusations of having favorite fighters for whom he can't hide his bias for, even during live broadcasts, he'd feel compelled to censor himself a bit in that regard. The Rogan and DC duo is something that especially irritates many fans as they complain that the two morph into almost some drunk fans sitting on the couch and rooting for their favorite fighter with little or no actual technical commentary. Though a bit extreme, this is how a portion of fans felt after the last couple pay-per-view events that included Joe and DC at the same time. Anyway, recently, while talking about the O'Malley versus Merab fight, Joe seemingly revealed his prediction for the bout in a manner that shocked many fans. Joe thinks that Merab is Sean's toughest matchup and that Merab will do whatever he wants with Sean.
Well, he does whatever the fuck he wants to do. That's what I think. He's unstoppable. Every time he fights, he gets better. Merab is an animal, man. He's the worst matchup for Sean. The worst matchup on paper for Sean in that division is Merab. Dude, Merab is a scary character because that motherfucker never gets tired.